Like I explained in the Purpose of Conflict video, the different belief systems that characters hold place them in conflict with one another. Characters are placed into conflict when their beliefs and philosophies compete with other characters who have differing beliefs and philosophies. In 12 Angry Men, Juror 8, who believes in the importance of the judicial system and giving people the benefit of the doubt, competes with the other jurors, who all have belief systems and reasons for why they believe the man should be found guilty. In The Dark Knight, Batman, who believes in justice and the rule of law, competes with Joker, who believes that the systems of justice and morality are just facades that we all hide behind. So how do you apply this idea to the writing process? Start with one character. Most stories have a single central character. While there are many major characters in a story, in most stories you can pick out one character that stands at the center of the plot and the conflict. Once you have this main character, you need to build out their belief system. What elements of their personal worldview or philosophy will be challenged in your story? You need to understand how your character sees the world to understand what sort of decisions they will make and what kinds of things they want.
What women want, right? So that's the way she wants to see things progress. She doesn't want to just like be in the park one day and then like go and have a drink at night and go, fuck it, I'm crazy wild BDSM sex and go like that, right? Wrong. The number one primary, most effective metric when it comes to the thing that is going to improve your success with women is simply this, is the number of women that you talk to. Nothing else compares in terms of any kind of action, behavior, or mindset that is going to increase your chances, particularly in the early stages. When I'm saying early stages, I mean the first year, at least, you're going from, I never approached a stranger before, I don't have much experience with women. Outside that, okay, I got this. I can go get a date today if I want. So often, men put way too much emphasis on any given girl. And this is just as true applies
Now that you have an understanding of who your main character is and what they believe, you can begin building some of the other characters in your story. These characters will have their own beliefs that conflict with the main characters in different ways. In Little Miss Sunshine, Olive is the main character. Olive sits at the center of different belief systems that pull her in different directions. Olive's father, Richard, is the main force of philosophical antagonist. Richard believes that the world is made up of winners and losers, and that losers are essentially worthless. Olive's grandpa rejects these ideas, believing that personal acceptance and being yourself matters much more than society's perception of winners and losers. Dwayne rejects society entirely and takes a more angry, dejected point of view to existence. Frank, who recently tried to commit suicide, is struggling with life and meaning as well. It's Dwayne and Frank's story that adds another philosophical layer to the events of the story. While on the surface, the film seems to just be a lighthearted, feel-good story about a family going to a beauty pageant, it was intentionally created to look at life and how to live from multiple points of view. 12 Angry Men is a fascinating example of complicated philosophical conflict. While Juror 8 stands as the one devoted to finding justice, each of the other members of the jury challenge Juror 8's point of view in different ways. The most obvious antagonistic figure is Juror 3, who is constantly berating Juror 8 and getting angry at the entire process. In the end, we find that his bias against the man on trial comes from a bad relationship with his own son. Juror 7 wants to get out quickly so he can go to a baseball game. This isn't a philosophical desire, it's a simple one. However, it shows us what he believes. He believes the man is guilty, and he sees being on a jury as a waste of his time. He's focused on himself and anxious to get on with his life. And we subconsciously understand this as the audience, simply by seeing that he wants to go to a baseball game, while in the context of being a juror on a criminal trial. Juror 10 is blatantly racist and harbors hatred towards the man on trial for this reason. He believes he is superior to the man on trial, and this belief changes how he sees the entire process. In The Dark Knight, Batman and the Joker sit at the center of philosophical conflict. Batman believes in the rule of law, the justice system, and morality. Joker rejects all of these elements, believing humanity is just one push away from chaos. Harvey Dent stands as an ideological figure. He has the possibility of a truly just system, and that is why Batman wants to raise him up. It's also why Joker wants to take him down. Lieutenant Gordon is more of a pragmatist. He realizes some corners must be cut for the sake of justice, and he is willing to cut them. Rachel does not necessarily hold an important belief system. However, Batman and Harvey's beliefs in justice and morality are heavily tied to her well-being. Joker knows that Rachel is their weakness and uses this against them. Does every single character have to be a perfectly obvious element of a philosophical conflict to take place in the story? No. Some characters, like Joker's henchmen, will serve as simple external obstacles, but these sorts of characters should not be the main force of opposition in the story. Understanding external and internal conflict and establishing the character's one becomes much more simple once you understand the philosophical beliefs of the particular character. Olive wants to win the beauty pageant because she believes winning gives her worth in her father's eyes. Yet she also wants to be herself, no matter what society says. Juror 8 wants to take the trial seriously because he believes human life and justice are important. Batman wants order and justice in Gotham because he believes these things will create a better world. But once you have an understanding of who your characters are, what they believe, and what they want, how do you create interesting continual conflict over the course of a screenplay? When a character begins a story, you need to understand who they are and what they're capable of. When a character first starts, they won't be making massive moves to defeat an antagonist. They will use the most minimal amount of effort. When you begin a story, the person your character is should not be able to fight against the forces of antagonism at the climax. They must go through lower levels of antagonism to change into someone and take on the climax when it comes. In In story, Robert McKee talks about progressive complications. McKee writes, a story must not retreat to actions of lesser quality or magnitude, but move progressively forward to a final action beyond which the audience cannot imagine another. There's a couple defining elements to McKee's method of progressive complications. Number 1, create greater and greater conflict. Number 2, create a succession of events that continually pass points of no return. Number 1, create greater and greater conflict. As the character morphs and changes to rise to the challenge of the antagonistic forces must grow stronger and more intense to continually push the main character towards deeper change. Human nature is fundamentally conservative. Robert McKee notes that your character will start with minimal effort in the beginning of the story. When the minimal effort doesn't work and only creates a greater struggle between the antagonistic forces, the character must act again, this time in a stronger way. Even when writing a flat-arc main character, the philosophical pressures will still increase over the course of the story. Remember when I looked at Paddington 2? Paddington holds the same beliefs over the course of the story. However, as he is in prison and deals with the feelings of being forgotten, the pressures around him increase, but he comes out the other side holding the same beliefs. When Juror 8 initially voices his disagreement with the rest of the group, he simply states he isn't sure.
I don't know.
The other jurors stay at his energy level, but disagree. However, as the story continues, Juror 8 takes more action and focuses heavily on persuading the other members of the jury. Some of the other members of the jury get angry with him and argue loudly with each other. At the climax, Juror 8 stands against Juror 3, as Juror 3 angrily yells at him. Number 2, create a succession of events that continually pass points of no return. McKee writes, progression builds by drawing upon greater and greater capacities from characters, demanding greater and greater willpower from them, constantly passing points of no return in terms of the magnitude or quality of action. It's not only about creating larger forces of antagonism, it's also about not being able to turn back because of the philosophical consequences. In Little Miss Sunshine, the points of no return aren't external, they are philosophical. Could the family simply turn around and go home? Yes, if the conflict was simply external, but philosophically they would fail. Reader cannot turn around because it would be admitting defeat. It's not really about having some major villain that must be defeated. It's about what the main character believes that keeps them heading towards their goal. Conflict needs to rise, characters need to grow. If both of these things can happen at the same time, you will be on your way to a strong dramatic story with a good pace. So what's one way to build a story with constantly greater conflict and points of no return? One of the best ways to break down a story and make sure that it doesn't lose steam is to break up the acts into mini-stories that follow Harmon's story circle. At the end of each act, you create a major point of no return for the character and an internal change that they've made. They are becoming a different person over the course of the story, because the forces of antagonism continue to get stronger. When you use the story circle to break up each act in each sequence, it's easier to stay focused and create those important changes in your character as the story goes forward. For an in-depth example of breaking each act down into the story circle, I recommend watching my video on story structure, link below. So once you have an understanding of story conflict, where it comes from, and how to progressively build it, we need to focus on one last element, scene conflict. A big mistake writers make is that they get to a scene and try to artificially inject conflict into it. They try to give the scene some sort of purpose without really knowing why it needs to be in the story. Rather than trying to inject conflict into a specific scene, you should focus on creating your characters and their goals in a way that creates conflict organically, and you place the characters into the particular scene. Once you know your characters and have an idea of how the scene might move the story forward, we can start looking at scene objective and super objective. Scene objective and super objective are elements of the scene that Robert McKee talks about in story. The scene objective is the character's specific goal for this specific scene. The super objective is the character's overall goal and reason for doing what they're doing. The super objective is usually the underlying reason that the character wants the scene objective. In the scene where Olive orders ice cream, the scene objective becomes whether or not Olive will eat the ice cream. The super objective remains to get to the beauty pageant on time. But it's also deeper than that. This scene is a moment of philosophical conflict. Richard doesn't want Olive to eat the ice cream because she could get fat and no longer be able to compete in beauty pageants, which makes her a loser. Both Grandpa and Cheryl want Olive to simply do what she wants, no matter what others think, which openly attacks Richard's view of the world.
I like a woman with you.
Olive is now stuck between these two competing philosophies as the ice cream is placed in front of her. The choice isn't just should she eat the ice cream or not, she's choosing between two ways of looking at the world. In one of the scenes in the bathroom, Juror 8 washes his hands and speaks to Juror 7 and Juror 6. The scene objective is to simply take a break before returning to the discussion. The super objective is to find out whether or not the man on trial is innocent or guilty. Again, it's deeper than this. Juror 7 admires what he believes is salesmanship from Juror 8, as Juror 8 tries to place doubt in the minds of the other jurors.
You know what the song is? Well, you got it.
This displays Juror 7's attitude and shows that he can't wait to get out of here and move on with his life. Juror 8 hates this attitude and believes that the trial should be taken seriously. Juror 6 creates the opposite problem. Juror 6 attacks the core fear that Juror 8 holds.
I suppose he talked us all out of this, and Kim really did nice as well.
In the Dark Knight's interrogation scene, the scene objective is the final location of Harvey Dent. The super objective is to bring Gotham back to a state of order and justice. However, as Batman and the Joker sit across from one another for the first time, the Joker is able to explain his belief system to Batman. And not only that, but Batman lives by a single rule, and Joker has come to break it. The philosophical conflict at the center creates the external and internal conflict that we see on screen. This idea is combined with John Truby's idea of how a scene should be structured. Truby uses an upside-down triangle to explain this concept. Truby writes, the beginning of the scene should frame what the whole scene is about. The scene should then funnel down to a single point, with the most important word or line of dialogue stated last. The scene objective or endpoint is the purpose for the scene's existence in the story. A new piece of information is learned, an action is taken, or a choice is made. Let's go back to those three scenes. The beginning of the scene should frame what the whole scene is about. Olive orders ice cream. Richard tries to explain to her that ice cream will make her fat, which will make her unable to compete in beauty competitions. Olive begins to listen to her father, then funnel down. The ice cream arrives at the table, and the other members of the family refute Richard's point by eating Olive's ice cream. To a single point. Olive eats the ice cream. She chooses to reject her father's understanding of the world. The beginning of the scene should frame what the whole scene is about. Juror 7 doesn't understand why Juror 8 is doing what he's doing. He frames it within his understanding of the world.
You know what the song is? Well, you got it.
Then funnel down. Juror 8 fires back at Juror 7's flippant view of the trial, which wins the small conflict between the two men.
So why don't we stop wasting that time? We're all get so folks to keep out there. There is making it here. No difference at all.
To a single point. However, reverse juror 6 enters and asks juror 8 a very important question.
What do you talk us all out of this, and kid really did, and I just went.
For the first time, one of the other members of the jury has attacked juror 8's biggest fear. This moment propels us into the next jury discussion.
Evening, Commissioner.
The beginning of the scene should frame what the whole scene is about. The first line of the scene tells us what's going on. The Joker's men took Harvey Dent. Gordon and Batman need to find him, then funnel down. When Batman tries to get Harvey's location out of the Joker reveals something else.
No, they're only You're gonna have to play another game if you want to save one of them.
Now the stakes have risen. The scene continues to a single point. Batman gets the addresses and rushes out of the room. The story is shoved forward. Each scene should have a specific objective that also places it in the overall story. By bringing the scene to a single point, usually an action or new information, the story is turned and shoved forward. Okay, I covered a lot in a short time, so let me condense this for you as you go to write your next screenplay. Number 1, start with characters and their deeply held beliefs. Number 2, challenge those deeply held beliefs with other characters who believe differently. Number 3, start small and grow larger. Let the conflict rise and force your characters to change. Number 4, understand the purpose of the scene. Bring the scene to a specific point. How does your particular scene drive the story forward? Start with philosophical struggle and characters. That is the absolute backbone of your story. Plot, concept, fun dialogue, and crazy action scenes all come second to those two elements. Don't try to inject a scene with conflict and then place your characters in it. Know who your characters are. Know how they will change. Know what pressures are on them, and know how those pressures will affect them. Hello, I hope you enjoyed the video. The focus of this channel is to teach screenwriting and focus on what practically works for writers. If you'd like to join a community of writers who are brainstorming together, giving criticism, and helping each other along, I recommend joining the Facebook group, linked below. If you want to see more videos on screenwriting, click on the playlist, linked in the description, and also hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.
So you're trying to write a short film.
There's a lot of bad information out there about writing short films. When people want to write movies, one of the common pieces of advice is watch movies. But that doesn't really work with short films. Short films are their own breed. They are written and made for all different reasons. Many times it's for a director or cinematographer to show off their ability. Or maybe the short is really just an ad for something. And sometimes the writers seemingly abandon what they know about writing dramatic narratives when they go to write a short film. In this video, I want to change all of that. I want to give you a clear understanding of how you can write a strong dramatic narrative in a short film. Let's begin. First off, I want to debunk a few myths surrounding writing short films. Myth 1. Short films are too short to be deeply meaningful and dramatic. This is completely wrong. Short films can absolutely be meaningful and dramatic if you focus on building them on fundamental story elements. Myth 2. There isn't enough time to set up the story. Many writers believe they have to skip having any setup in their short film because they only have a few pages to work with. This is not true. Setup is necessary to a story. Even if you start right in the middle of the action, the audience is going to need to know what's going on, who people are, and why the action is happening. If they don't learn these things quickly, they will disengage from the story. Myth 3. Stunning cinematography, witty dialogue, and cool concepts will create a good short film even if the story isn't good. This is absolutely wrong. Yet I see this in short films all the time. Even in a short film, the story is still the core element. Audiences will always grow bored quickly if there's no story at the core, even if the film looks gorgeous. However, rather than simply showing you an example and explaining why that example works, I want to take a short film that already exists and reconstruct it from the ground up, just like you would be doing when writing your short. The short film I'm going to use is Stutterer. Now I want to make it clear that I did not make this film. This short film was written and directed by Benjamin Cleary. I am using this short film to build an example of a good process you can adopt to create a short film that has a strong dramatic narrative. Stutterer is linked below, but this might actually work better if you've never seen it before. Also, and I'm only going to say this once, this is not the only way to build a story or a short film. Take what's helpful, leave what isn't. This isn't a formula. This is an examination of why stories work to help you write your own story. The writer may not have used this exact method to build a short film. However, this process is one that has been extremely beneficial to me, and hopefully will be beneficial to you as well. Let's begin with finding an idea. Ideas can be all sorts of things. It can be a scene, a character, a line of dialogue, a concept, or a philosophical idea that you want to examine. For this short film, let's start with a very simple idea. The story is about a man who stutters. This is a good place to start. We now have a concept. We don't have our story yet, but we have the beginning of an idea. Now we can move on to building our main character and what they believe. Just like a longer form story, a short film needs philosophical, ethical, or moral dilemmas. This is why we become invested in characters. It's not about their ability to solve problems or the fact that they are in danger. It's about what the characters believe and the actions they take because of those beliefs that engage us with the story. It's good to start by building out the main character, the person that your story will revolve around. There may be many characters in your story, but usually there will be one character that pushes the story forward more than anyone else. In this story, our main character is a man who stutters. His name is Greenwood. Greenwood's stutter is an external problem. But this isn't where the conflict of the story is. We need to give Greenwood some beliefs. What does he believe about his stutter that holds him back in life? We need to answer this question so we can begin to build strong story conflict. But this is hard to figure out without knowing what the character wants and why they want it. So let's talk about what Greenwood wants. Greenwood wants to be in love. Okay, this is a start, but let's go deeper than that. Greenwood wants a deep, intimate relationship with someone. This is a strong desire. Now that we know what Greenwood wants, we can talk more about what he believes. What beliefs does Greenwood hold that will stop him from getting what he wants? We have the character's want and his major external obstacle. We can use these together to help build out Greenwood's philosophical beliefs and the philosophical conflict. Greenwood believes that his stutter will stop him from connecting deeply with others. He feels disconnected from the world and believes his stutter will always hold him back. He is wallowing in self-pity. So now we have our central character and the central idea behind the story. These are the guiding ideas of almost every great dramatic story, a character struggling with their own beliefs as they come into conflict with the world. Now that we have an understanding of what the story is about philosophically, we can begin building the other characters in the story. Okay, so this is a love story. Greenwood wants to find a deep, intimate relationship. So he needs a love interest. Now we bring in Ellie. Ellie is Greenwood's love interest, but she can't just be the love interest. Why? Because that's not what the story is about. The story falls flat if Ellie is simply the love interest, because then she wouldn't be adding to the philosophical conflict. She should hold beliefs that oppose Greenwood's. Ellie accepts herself for who she is. Ellie is willing to be open and honest. Ellie is not wallowing in self-pity. These are the beliefs that Greenwood must accept. And now Greenwood and Ellie's beliefs are in conflict. If this is the case, then we need to see proof of Ellie's acceptance of these ideas. Ellie needs to have an external problem, just like Greenwood, but we don't know what it is yet. We'll come back to this. Now we have two major characters, but let's add one more. Greenwood's father. Greenwood shouldn't have a father in the story for no reason. This character should also add to the philosophical conflict. Greenwood now has evidence of someone in his life that accepts him for who he is. This is how the father character adds to the philosophical conflict. So now we have our concept, our philosophical conflict, and our characters. Now we need to think about how we can structure a story in a way that is dramatic, interesting, and pressures our main character in the best way possible. Let's look at narrative structure. Short films aren't any more difficult to write than feature films. However, some people get confused because they try to apply structural formulas and rules that only work with feature-length screenplays to short films. As a storyteller and a writer, you should be focusing on the fundamental elements of how a story works. And that's why I want to structure this short film using Dan Harmon's story circle. The story circle is a great tool because it isn't constricted by a certain length of time. Rather than existing to hit certain beats on certain pages of a feature film, the story circle focuses on the fundamental elements of the story. The story circle breaks down into 4 quarters and 4 points, which create a dramatic story. Number 1, the character is in a zone of comfort. Number 2, but they want something. Number 3, they enter an unfamiliar situation. Number 4, they adapt to it. Number 5, they get what they wanted. Number 6, they pay a heavy price for it. Number 7, they return to their familiar situation. Number 8, having changed.
When I die, fuck it, I wanna go to hell. Cause I'm a piece of shit, it ain't hard to fucking tell. It don't make sense going to heaven with the goodies dressed in white. I like black Timbs and black hoodies. Gotta probably have me on some real strict shit. No sleeping all day, no getting my dick licked. Hanging with the goodies, lounging in paradise. Fuck that shit, I wanna tote guns and shoot dice. All my life I've been considered as the worst. Lying to my mother, even stealing out a purse. Crime after crime, from drugs to extortion. I know my mother wish she got a fucking abortion. She don't even love me like she did when I was younger. Sucking on her chest just to stop my fucking hunger. I wonder if I died with tears come to her eyes. Forgive me for my disrespect, forgive me for my lies. But maybe mother's 8 months, her little sister's 2. Who's to blame for both of them? I swear to God, I wanna just slip my wrist and end this bullshit. Throw the magnum to my head, threaten to pull shit and squeeze until the bed's completely red. I'm glad I'm dead. A worthless fucking fucking Buddha head. The stress is building up, I can't believe suicide's on my fucking mind. I wanna leave, I swear to God, I feel like death is fucking calling me. Nah, you wouldn't understand.
Nigga, talk to me, please, man.
You see, it's kinda like the crack did the Pookie and New Jack. Except when I cross over, it ain't no coming back. Should I die on the train track like Rainbow and Beach Street? People at the funeral frontin' like they miss me. My baby mama kissed me, but she glad I'm gone. She know me and her sister had something going on. I reached my peak, I can't speak. Call my nigga Cheek, tell him that my will is weak. I'm sick of niggas lying, I'm sick of bitches hawking. Matter of fact, I'm sick of talking.
Hey, yo, Big! Hey, yo, Big! Hey, yo, Big! Hey, yo, Big! Hey, yo, Big!
Please hang up and try your call again. Please hang up. Is a recording.
As we proceed to give you what you need. Not five motherfuckers. Get live, motherfuckers. As we proceed to give you what you need. Not five motherfuckers. Get live, motherfuckers.
Now turn the mics up. Turn that mic up. Yeah, the beat is knocking. Leave that mic up though. Turn that shit the fuck up. What? Turn up louder. Yeah. Who shot ya? Separate the weak from the opsa. Leap hard to creep them Brooklyn streets. It's on, nigga. Fuck all that bickering beef. I can hear sweat trickling down your cheek. Your heartbeat sound like Sasquatch feet. Thundering, shaking the concrete. Then the shit stopped when I fall the plot. Neighbors call the cops, said they heard mad shots. Saw me in the drop, 3 1/4. Slaughter, electrical tape around the daughter. Old school, new school, need to learn though. I burn, baby, burn like disco inferno. Burn slow like blunts with yayo. Peel more skins than Idaho potato. Niggas know the lyrical molesting is taking place. Fucking with B.I.G. it ain't safe. I make your skin chafe. Rashes on the masses. Bumps and bruises. Blunts and Land Cruisers. Big Papa smash fools. Bash fools. Niggas mad because I know the cash rules. Everything around me, 2 Glock 9s. Any motherfucker whispering about mine. And I'm Brooklyn's finest. You rewind this. Bad boys behind this. One.